Hello everyone, welcome back to another brand new video, and today I will have the pleasure of ranking every episode of Dandadan from worst to best. I've rewatched every episode in preparation for this video, and I'd first like to say that I think none of these episodes are bad. Dandadan doesn't really have any bad episodes so far. So that means the last place on this list is not a bad episode, it's just the episode I enjoy the least. Also, just to be clear, this video will be spoiling all of Dandadan's Season 1 and 2, but will not be spoiling anything from the manga, so anime-onlys are safe here. I will also be using my color rankings for this video. I find it easiest to rate episodic television in colors rather than using a specific number score. As each entry begins, you'll see the color I rated each episode, and they are as follows. Purple, 10 out of 10, no notes, peak fiction. Blue, amazing, part of that upper echelon. Cyan, pretty good, very enjoyable. Green, good, enjoyable, but we have some issues. Yellow-green, it was fine. Yellow, we have issues, this is below average. Orange is bad, and red is utter garbage. Last but not least, this is just my opinion. If you like an episode that I rank low or dislike an episode I rank high, that's completely okay. And finally, without further ado, this is every Dandadan episode ranked from worst to best. Number 24, Let's Go to the Cursed House. This is easily the weakest episode of the show, but it's still fine. I feel this episode doesn't maximize its runtime like most other Dandadan episodes do. The pacing is slow, and as a result, this one's kinda boring. We're just making our way to Gigi's house and having some chats. The only real interesting plot developments happen at the very end of the episode, but this is the season finale, so we had to wait half a year before figuring out what happens next. This episode is fine on paper, but as a season finale, it's very weak, and it felt like the season ended on a whimper despite so many highs. This is also the second Momo SA related scene of the show, and it sucks. Not only just to see, but as a cliffhanger. Why would you want to leave us wondering whether our female main character is going to get assaulted or not? It's just bad. One of the only bad Dandadan moments. There is one standout scene for me here, and it's the scene of Gigi and Okarun playing soccer and talking about their respective crushes on Momo. This is not only a well-written conversation, but it's also some good bonding time between the two. Overall, it's fine with one bad moment, and with a high-quality show like Dandadan, that's enough to be dead last on the list. Number 23, Feeling Kinda Gloomy. I have a lot of conflicted feelings about this one. I think its first 5 minutes are really good, but I don't like a lot of what happens in the rest of the episode, leaving it to be my least favorite episode of Season 2. Let's talk about those first 5 minutes. We wrap up Okarun's little cafe excursion, which was a great bit. He tries to stay behind and wait for Momo, but she shoos him away and continues her shift. We head into a montage of Momo going about her shift as Nocturne, an iconic piece of classical music, plays in the background. And this is all just fantastic. The music choice makes this scene 10 times better than it would normally be, and it's also just a nice little bit of foreshadowing for the end of the episode. Momo gets off work, and just as you think she's about to walk home alone, Okarun arrives. And can we just talk about how good this scene looks, by the way? Absolutely gorgeous cinematography all around. Momo holds Okarun's hand and we cut back to Seiko's house. And this is where I believe the true great content of the episode ends. Aira accidentally splashes her boba on Gigi and he transforms into the Evil Eye and attacks Momo. Suggestively. And I really don't like this scene. Not only is the scene weirdly placed, but I also don't understand why. Evil Eye acts like a child because he is a child. This is an established piece of his character, so you can argue that he's not trying to do anything SA related here, and Momo's shirt just happened to rip. If that's the case, then why even add that detail of her shirt ripping? It's all just pretty weird. If all the suggestive imagery was removed, nothing would change. Okarun would still be mad and try to train, and Gigi would still be upset he lost control and hurt Momo. Anyways, the rest of the episode after that is just kinda boring. We check up on Peeny Weenie and he refuses to train Okarun. Turbo Granny, however, does offer her help. She and Okarun head off to the school at night for a mission, but don't realize that Aira is following them. The episode ends with all the classical music composers awakening, setting us up for a nice little battle next time. But despite how good the first 5 minutes of this one are, it can't be saved from its low placement. Number 22, It's a granny versus granny clash. As I mentioned earlier, Dandadan doesn't have any bad episodes, but this is definitely one of the weakest ones so far. Most setup episodes in Dandadan are very engaging despite containing large amounts of setup, and that's due to the wacky bits and humor throughout, and that is present here, but not on the level of the best setup episodes. We meet Seiko for the first time here, and I really enjoy her role in the story. She gets introduced in a cool action scene where she whoops Turbo Granny, and because of this, you think she's gonna be some badass curse hunter or something. Dandadan knows exactly what you're thinking, so they subvert your expectations by pretty much turning her into Momo and Okarun's mentor, just training them most of the time. And for the rest of the season, she just sits around her house and sends the gang on missions. But this makes it so much more rewarding when she eventually shows up in Season 2 and starts fighting. The rest of this episode is fine. The bathroom scene with Okarun is a good example of Dandadan antics making what would normally be boring setup into something way more fun, but Dandadan also does a way better job at that the later into the series we go. Number 21. I've Got This Funny Feeling. This episode has a couple of good bits and cool shots, but it's one of the more forgettable episodes on the board. I like the Okarun and Aira bit. They have a really funny dynamic together, and Momo stumbling across them in an unflattering position is some easy drama to create. Aira's crush on Okarun has had some pretty interesting progression across the show so far. Here, it's played for laughs because it is pretty funny. However, as the show has gone on and Momo and Okarun continue to grow closer, you start feeling a bit bad for Aira because you know it's just not gonna happen. Nessie's first appearance is pretty cool. The shot where she slides into frame is honestly kind of eerie. And I also like the shot of Momo moving in the water and alerting Nessie to her location. Just some smart visual storytelling. While Momo is on her own dealing with Nessie, Aira and Okarun deal with Mr. Mantis Shrimp and the returning Serpo. Joining them is the ugly yellow piss filter, and while I love the distinct visual styles that Science Saru creates for these fights, they don't always have a 100% success rate. The episode ends with Aira transforming into Acro Silky, now possessing her power after the debacle into a kinder world, and this is just a great decision. I'm so glad that Aira got to stick around and join the gang on their wacky adventures without it feeling contrived. Overall, while there's fun to be had here, I wouldn't find myself coming back to this episode as often as the others. Number 20. This is the Legend of the Giant Snake. This episode really gets the Cursed House arc moving, and by the end of the episode, I'm locked in, but it just takes a while to get there. I don't love the first half of this one. Momo escapes from the Keto guys, and it's revealed that Turbo Granny is a stowaway, and I'm glad she is because she's one of the funniest parts of this entire arc. Momo heads over to the Shrine of the Snake and meets Manjiro, who wants to become a bootuber. Me and you both, buddy. This whole section is just meh. It does come back later, so I can't be too mad at it. It does serve a purpose. It's just not very engaging. When Momo does make it back to the house, we pretty much get non-stop action until the episode closes. Momo does her signature head kick, Turbo Granny KOs a guy, and Granny Keto does some insane kung fu. The only real funny moment of the episode not involving Turbo Granny comes when the Mongolian Deathworm eats all the Ketos while they're doing their weird prayer circle chant thing. Solid episode that becomes very rewarding because you'll be seeing the rest of this arc much higher up on the list. Number 19. Merge, Serpo Dover Demon Nessie. To create the perfect Dandadan episode, I believe you need the correct balance of weird, funny, and wholesome. And while this episode contains all three, it simply doesn't respect the balance. This is easily one of, if not the weirdest episode of Dandadan. We have a mantis shrimp who was just injected with fluids from the Serpo's Robodong, singing a song about a Japanese businessman while attacking a naked high schooler infected with a yokai. Absolute cinema for some, but not for me. In the humor department, we get some good stuff here. Momo tries to keep Aira and Okarun's powers in check, but fails whenever she hears a Ken Takakura mention. My personal favorite is Okarun and Aira gushing over Nessie and then freaking out when it destroys one of the Serpo. When it comes to wholesome, there's only really one scene. Momo and Okarun's talk, where Okarun explains how he would hate for Momo in particular to get the wrong idea about what happened with Aira earlier. This is a really well done conversation, especially in the heat of battle, but they also kinda have it while Aira is currently drowning above them. I think this is the weakest battle episode of the show, and I'm not sure if that's a hot take or not, but it is what it is. Oh, and the green filter? Big fan. Number 18. Have you ever seen a cattle mutilation? This is a great bridge episode, wrapping up the last arc in a neat little bow and setting pieces in motion for the next. The first half of the episode with Momo, Okarun, and Aira still at school is genuinely amazing. Everybody has a great character moment. Okarun finally has time to explain everything that happened with Aira and how he was secretly working out so Momo would think he's cool. Momo starts teasing him, and right when things are getting good, her friends pull a Froppy and interrupt. Unlike Froppy though, they actually bring some funny and enjoyable content as they give a presentation. The fact that they came prepared for this with a spotlight and red sheet to give dramatic lighting is comedy gold. Finally, Aira tells her class that she was the one who made up the rumors about Momo, showing her true character that she is deep down an actual good person. The second half of the episode is still good, but it's a bit slow. We meet Mantis Shrimp more in depth, and the gang gives him a cow to save his son. The whole UFO scene looks great, and it's a fun visual to see the cow getting beamed up. The episode ends with the first appearance of Gigi, Momo's childhood crush, creating some new drama to work through in the future. Number 17. That's a space alien, ain't it? This is what I feel like the baseline standard good episode of Dandadan is. We get a solid fight, although not anything spectacular. We get some solid Momokarun content, but nothing spectacular. And finally, we get some goofy, wacky, classic Dandadan bits throughout, but once again, nothing spectacular. This is just one of those episodes of television that sits in first or second gear for most of the runtime and never quite jumps into that third gear. That's perfectly fine, but on a list like this, it's not going to place in the upper echelon. With that being said, I still like this episode. It's Dandadan after all. We get our first introduction to all-out Okarun here, an amazing blend of badass and downright hilarious. I love how AJ Beckles voices all-out Okarun in particular, using the perfect voice that can convey cool menacing lines and goofy ones too.
Sorry. I'm an awkward guy, yo.
Don't ever say that line again, you hear?
I don't think so, dude. I promised you an ass whooping.
Despite this being the intro to All Out Okarun, it's Momo who ends up saving the day with a great character moment. She takes a beating from the alien so the crater in the wall is large enough to hold them, placing the talisman to get rid of the alien without harming Okarun. The final standout moment of the episode is the last, where we get a really cool transformation from Okarun, and like I mentioned in my Season 1 review, I adore the shot of his glasses falling into frame and slightly magnifying Momo. Overall, solid episode, but nothing to write home about. Number 16. You Can Do It, Okarun. This one's rather mid in my opinion. While this is a battle episode for the majority of the runtime, and it has some great animation, I kinda feel nothing. This is one of the only fights of the series that lacks emotional investment. It's fun, yeah, but it's also just training. There isn't really any stakes or danger for anybody involved. Aira and Okarun fighting together should be a really fun dynamic, but they're separated for a majority of the episode and don't have many interactions. I do like the end of the fight. Playing Ode to Joy as Okarun runs his ass off and destroys Beethoven is classic great Dandadan. After the fight, Okarun compliments Aira, and she gets a little flustered. She clearly has a crush on Okarun, and I feel bad for her, because there's just no beating Momo Ayase. That's really the only memorable moment between Okarun and Aira in this episode, and that's a shame, because I feel we could have gotten so much more. We wrap things up back at the house, where Okarun challenges the Evil Eye, setting up a banger fight for next time. Overall, the episode is still good, but I don't have any strong opinions about it either. Number 15. I Want to Rebuild the House. This is quite the eventful 24 minutes, a completely jam-packed setup episode filled with a lot of memorable moments. The episode begins in the middle of Okarun and Evil Eye's fight. Okarun goes full demon mode, which looks awesome by the way, and sends the Evil Eye straight through Seiko's house to get the victory. While this fight is pretty quick, wrapping up before the opening can even play, it's one of the better fights of the show, with some great animation. Evil Eye immediately begs for a rematch, but Okarun refuses and puts on a rage bait masterclass. The two agree to fight once a week, and Gigi is officially saved. And while Gigi may be in good shape, the house is not. So our merry band of misfits all head on back to their original homes. This leaves Momo, Seiko, Turbo Granny, and Hana left on their own, and they splurge on a spa day in a pretty fun and cute sequence. The four return to the destruction to find Ludris, a friend of Peeny Weenie's, and he's here to help rebuild the house. Ludris is clearly a Minecraft reference, and he's even animated differently from the others, which I love. It reminded me a bit of Gwimbly from Smiling Friends. The gang gets to rebuilding the house with the help of the nanoskin, and I'm not sure if I'm crazy, but I'm kinda getting the implication that Peeny Weenie might have a thing for Seiko. The whole house rebuilding scene is really wholesome, and continues to drive home the familial bond growing between our characters. After all that, Gigi and Momo head to school, but Evil Eye emerges and we get an extended comic relief sequence of Evil Eye at school. The sequence is good, but it's among the Dandadan bits that I don't quite care for. The episode ends rather abruptly as Momo finds out that another golden ball has been spotted at a nearby apartment complex. However, we actually get a quick post-credit scene introducing us to Kinta, voiced by Bryce Papenbrook, aka Aaron fucking Yeager. The episode is filled to the brim with content, and while some of it is just fine, most of it is actually pretty good, so it lands here at the number 15 spot. Number 14, We Can All Stay There Together. While this is another classic Dandadan setup episode, it's a pretty good one with lots of fun gags and meaningful character moments. The episode begins with a fun scene of Granny Seiko attempting an exorcism, and it just isn't working. We head to a dinner scene where the gang eats hyper-realistic food, and our fearless leader returns. That's right, folks. Ira is back after sitting out of the Cursed House arc, and she spends most of this dinner scene gushing over Chicky Cheetah. Speaking of our Mantissian friends, Mr. Mantis Shrimp, who now goes by Peeny Weenie, is moving to Earth full-time. We get a great bit of them blasting the UFO off into the sky, just to reappear right next door. And during this dinner scene, Gigi returns. It's established that when he interacts with hot water, he's himself again, but interact with cold water, and out comes the Evil Eye. Momo and Okarun are armed with thermoses of hot water, and they head out to reunite Gigi and his parents, giving us the episode's best scene. The hand-holding scene is another one of the best Momokarun moments, and it's also a perfect next step for their relationship. I really enjoy the realistic slow burn of Momokarun, and it's gonna be so rewarding when it actually happens. Anyways, cut from that extremely wholesome scene to one that's a little spooky. Turns out, head honcho Naki Kito is a subterranean alien, and this is a really well done scene. It looks scary, and the sound design makes it feel scary, and coming directly after a super happy cheesy moment makes it feel creepier and more effective. Also, as an anime only, what's the deal with these subterraneans? I imagine they're an enemy for the future, and I'm interested to see how it all plays out. Back at school, Momo asks Ira and Okarun to move in for a bit to help with the Gigi of it all, and the two oblige. Ira shows up looking as fashionable as ever, and we end the episode on another dinner scene. Okarun passes the soy sauce, accidentally dripping some on Gigi. Out pops the Evil Eye, blowing a hole through the house to end the episode. Apparently, this is an anime original scene. In the manga, Okarun passes the sauce and it immediately triggers the Evil Eye, whereas here, they added an extra bottle of sauce for the fake out. All around, super fun stuff, turning what could have been a bog standard boring setup episode into something lively and great. Number 13, First Love. Initially, First Love came across as a standard Dandadan setup episode, but it's aged like a fine wine. The first chunk of the episode is good, but nothing special. Just a lot of setup for the upcoming Cursed House arc as we meet Gigi a bit more in depth. The episode contains Ira's final appearance of Season 1 as she goofily runs out of the house to assemble a group to fight Momo's demon army or whatever. All hail our fearless leader. When we get to school, however, that's when the episode gets good. Momo's friends deliver the episode's funniest moment. One of them calls Gigi cringe and then immediately switches up when he calls her a hottie, while the other one of Momo's friends tells Gigi off because she's a ride-or-die Momokarun shipper like the rest of us. Okarun continues his little one-sided beef with Gigi, and we head into the Taro sequence. In my Season 1 review, I stated that I wasn't a fan of this scene, as it played the William Tell overture that was previously used in the Turbo Granny chase. However, future episodes have changed my mind on this, and I'll elaborate a little further when I cover episode 4 on the ranking. This is a really fun sequence. And Taro is such a funny character because he's voiced by Kaiji Tong, aka the Honored One Satoru Gojo. The final scene of the episode is the one that really elevates it though, as I find it to be a top 3 scene of the season. Taro finds his mannequin wife Hana and starts professing his love to her, and we focus heavily on Okarun's reaction. He listens to what Taro is saying and translates it to his own situation about how he feels about Momo. He does this without even speaking a single line of dialogue, but we understand him loud and clear. Taro even says that Hana made his world have color when previously it was just gray. And this is another line that is aged so well, with the Season 2 opening showing this exact scenario from Okarun's perspective. Overall, this is one of the series' better setup episodes, with a couple of incredible scenes that make it stand out above the rest. Number 12. That's how love starts, you know. Dandadan's first episode is one of the most batshit anime premieres out there. In my Season 1 review, I ended up giving this a blue, and in retrospect, I think that's far too high of a rating. Today I'm landing on a green, because while I like this episode, it does have some problems. Let's talk negatives first. Obviously, I'm not a fan of the Momo SA stuff here. Dandadan is a rather light-hearted show, and it does get dark sometimes, like Into a Kinder World. However, the frequency in which SA-related things happen to Momo in this series is too much. So far, it's happened 3 times in 24 episodes, which is ridiculous. This particular scene isn't egregious to me, it's more like a WTF moment, but I still don't like it. What I do like is that Momo ends up fighting her way out of the situation herself, because turning her into a damsel in distress where Okarun saves her probably would have been in poor taste. This is a hard show to recommend to people because of the first episode having this stuff in it, and that's a shame because Dandadan is really good. Also, because of the inclusion of this content, this episode sits at the bottom of my list when it comes to rewatch value, and I'll probably only watch this full episode when I'm rewatching the series from start to finish. Anyways, let's talk positives. This is a pretty fast-paced premiere and it gets a lot of stuff done. The highlight here is the dynamic between Momo and Okarun, with their first real conversation together being really funny and memorable. Their dynamic is the crux of the entire show, and if it didn't work, then the show would suck. So getting us to immediately like and care about both characters despite the breakneck pace is impressive. This is also our first look into the action and style of the show, as we get 3 different color filters for 3 different sequences here. Red for Turbo Granny, blue for the Serpo, and green for Momo's Awakening. Each villain or action sequence having its own unique color or flavor to it is by far one of my favorite things about the show, keeping things fresh and fun. My favorite moment of the episode is the last, when Okarun reveals his name as Kenta Kakura and we get the shot of Momo gobsmacked with the UFO exploding behind her. Everything about this moment is perfect, honestly. Great delivery, amazing music, and an iconic and noteworthy shot to end the first ever episode of Dandadan. Number 11, Kicking Turbo Granny's Ass. This is an interesting episode to rank, as I feel like it's one of those episodes that you love on first viewing, but will lower as more and more better episodes release. The Turbo Granny fight is the first great fight of the series, but it's been usurped multiple times as the series has progressed. Let's talk about the William Tell Overture scene, because it has 180'd since I last spoke about it in my Season 1 review. I previously stated that I loved this music choice. Then, when they reused it for the Taro chase later, I thought it was lame to redo it. Now, with Season 2 having been released, they used the William Tell Overture again on Taro when he fights Evil Eye. So now, I see the overture as Taro's official theme, which leaves me wondering why they used it for this fight. In retrospect, it all just feels a little weird. I think the best scene of the episode is once again the last, which has become sort of a trend at this point. The See You Tomorrow scene is genuinely great, and the best Momokarun moment since their first conversation together, made even better by its future appearance in the Season 2 opening. This episode is a great time, don't get me wrong, but there's just greater times ahead. Number 10, A Dangerous Woman Arrives. Enter God's prettiest soldier, Ira Shiratori. While the previous episode introduced Ira to Momo and Okarun, this serves as her intro to the audience as we hear her inner monologue and motives. She found one of Okarun's golden balls, and as a result, she can now see spirits. So in the last episode, when Momo slammed that washbin on Ira's head, Ira actually saw the whole thing and naturally came to the conclusion that Momo is a demon. This whole first bit of Ira is hilarious and a great character intro. We get some more Momokurun crumbs here. When Flock calls Momo cute, it gets Okarun to realize that she is cute, and he spends the next couple of scenes trying to avoid looking at her. This one ends with Acro Silky's arrival, and joining her is a pink filter. This is among my favorite filters of the Dandadan fights. Not only does the pink just look good, it also has a thematic meaning of love that ties into our antagonist, Acro Silky. This is one of the above average setup episodes, never quite reaching that great territory, but I'll always have a soft spot for it because of our fearless leader. Number 9, like, where are your balls? I think this is the single funniest episode of Season 1. It's usually pretty hard for pieces of media to make me laugh, especially on repeat viewings, but this episode succeeds at just that. There are so many great bits here, so let's just go over them. I love Momo's friends baiting Momo and Okarun into arguing, and it being glaringly obvious to them that Momo and Okarun like each other. Straight up, Momo's friends are up there with Turbo Granny as the best comedic characters of the series, but we'll get to Turbo Granny, don't you worry. Okarun discovering that his balls are gone is so funny, especially with this perfectly timed comedic cut. We also meet Ira for the first time here, and while initially she comes across mean as she makes fun of Okarun, Momo clobbering her with the bin is hilarious. The sound effect when it hits her is so loud, it kills me.
Hey.
Okarun finally gets to tell Momo that his balls are missing, and we get another perfectly timed cut to Momo hysterically laughing and Seiko riffing. It's all so good.
My balls are gone.
Now you know why I asked to see your junk. How in the hell did you not notice?
Then, if that wasn't enough, the episode ends by taking the previously serious villain of Turbo Granny and transporting her into a cat doll, officially changing her into a comedic mentor role. And I cannot stress how perfect of a decision this is. Even though I've spent this entire segment going over how funny the episode is, it's also really good in its serious moments as well. The entire first sequence of the episode revolving around Momo and Okarun just wanting to talk to the other and failing is really good. So while this may just be a setup episode, it's a damn good one. Number 8. Hey, it's a kaiju. The kaiju arc is a nice little trilogy of episodes to end Season 2, and this is the middle installment. I like it the least of the trilogy, but it's still a cyan and in the top half of the list because this kaiju arc is pretty damn good. The first half of this one is some classic battle episode shenanigans. The kaiju faces off against Momo, Okarun, and our fearless leader, and we get to see some of its powers in action. It uses green lightning laser beams and falls back on its camouflage once again, successfully tricking Ira. While all of this is happening, Gigi is piggybacking Kinta to safety, but some of Kinta's sweat gets on him, and out comes the evil eye. He soon becomes the comic relief of the episode, with almost every single line out of his mouth for the rest of the runtime being, "I want to murder."
I want to murder. I want to murder. I want to murder. I want to murder. I want to murder.
We get another fantastic bit when Evil Eye yeets his backpack into the abyss, and we cut back to the kaiju fight, only to see the backpack fly in and take the kaiju down for a moment. The squad reconvenes at Granny's house to give us the best scene of the episode, and one of the best scenes of the entire show in my opinion. Kinta uses the nanoskin to transform the house into a giant mech, and we get a whole entire sequence of our squad getting sent to their battle stations. This sequence was a fantastic idea, and an awesome reference to previous mecha media. I love how this arc pays homage to kaiju mecha media of the past, with certain sequences and score, but also has its own classic Dandadan spin on it to make sure it stands on its own. Overall, another fantastic Dandadan episode, with some great adaptation moments, courtesy of Science Saru. Number 7. The Evil Eye. Finally, the Evil Eye arc is cooking. It took 2 mid-setup episodes, but it was well worth it. So much happens here, so let's just hop right in. The episode begins with Momo and Okarun trying to off themselves, with Gigi having to lock in and save them from doing so. Momo ends up stabbing Turbo Granny during all this, giving us this great bit.
This dingus just stabbed me.
Way to go, Cat! You okay?
I've been stabbed! Ow!
Throughout this first chunk, we keep cutting to Evil Eye as his arrival grows imminent, and finally he looks into Gigi's eyes. Evil Eye's backstory scene is fantastic. The rainbow gradient filter looks fucking gorgeous. There's a boatload of incredible shots littered across this scene. Some of these shots don't even look like they're from Dandadan. The flashback doesn't just look good, it's good narratively as well, and it's also very sad. Evil Eye was a boy who was one of the Keto's human sacrifices, and all he wanted to do was play with the other kids. He ends up becoming a spirit and trying to play with all of the different kids that move into the cursed house, but he accidentally kills all of their parents. This is some extremely messed up stuff. Gigi tells Evil Eye he'll play with him all he wants, and Evil Eye officially possesses Gigi. I love how Gigi's Evil Eye kicks around a ball for his attacks. It takes a trait from Gigi's character and gives him his own unique fighting style. The episode ends with Okarun entering the fray. It seems Gigi and Okarun are going to have a rematch from their earlier soccer game, although I suspect there's going to be a lot more hands involved this time. Great episode. Number 6. Clash. Space Kaiju versus Giant Robot. Now this is a season finale. We have a kaiju, we now have a giant mecha Buddha, it's time to fight. The first half of the episode revolves around just that, a good old kaiju mecha battle. Not all 5 of our squad remains in the mech though. Okarun is ejected almost immediately, and Evil Eye breaks free in a hilarious moment.
I am free!
Evil Eye!
Kinta figures out how to pilot the mech, and it's finally go time. The subsequent fight is super fun and animated beautifully. I truly cannot glaze Science Saru enough. Kinta ends up facing some adversity and takes some time to think back on his past, and we see some scenes of him getting bullied. Is this cliche? Yes. But what I love about this is his response. I don't care what anyone says because I love it. A fantastic line that makes Kinta instantly sympathetic and relatable. Everyone has been there, being embarrassed to express your enjoyment or love for something, and if you're watching this video, there's a good chance anime might be that thing. Kinta gets up as a new triumphant mecha theme plays, and he starts schooling the kaiju until he doesn't. The mech starts looking a little rough, so Aira and Momo take matters into their own hands, delivering a massive powerbomb to the kaiju to defeat it once and for all. Gigi and Okarun take the kaiju back to Seiko's house, and the boys discover there's a girl inside the suit, leading to our final scene, which is also the best scene of the episode. Momo finally heads outside to see that very girl planting one on Okarun. The nanoskin heart explodes in her hands, as well as the house behind her, to bring an end to Season 2. This shot is a mirror to the shot that ends the premiere of Season 1, and that is a shot that I adore. So this shot coming back and bookending the season was an incredible choice. Absolute cinema, if you will. Number 5. The Secret Art of Being Attractive. Another one of the funniest episodes of the entire show, this one introduces us to Kinta, and almost the entire episode is told from his perspective. The first 7 minutes turn back time and flash back to episode 5, but we follow Kinta's day instead of Momokarun's. This sequence is really funny, and I love how every time we cut to Kinta, it's just dead silence, head empty. After the opening, we cut to the present, and Kinta is trying to get Okarun to notice him in class in another hilarious sequence. Kinta's picked up on Okarun rizzing Momo and Aira, and he wants a good placement on my Riz tier list, so he asks Okarun for his secret. Before Okarun can even answer, Momo enters and tells him she may have found his second golden ball. Kinta flips out and realizes this must mean the secret to Riz is spicy talk. We also meet the class rep Rin here, and she's convinced Okarun is being bullied by Momo and is finally taking a stand, and holy shit, that's Makima. Yes, you heard that right. The 2 new goofy high schoolers are voiced by the VAs of Eren Yeager and Makima. Funniest part is, they're doing a great job. Bryce Papenbrook's Kinta is hysterical, and I can already tell he's going to be one of, if not the funniest character of the whole show. Suzy Young as Rin is also great despite this being her only scene so far, leaving me excited to see more. After school, Kenta follows Momo and Okarun, with the moment of him accidentally kicking a bucket and giving himself away genuinely being the hardest I've laughed at an episode so far. This leads into the golden ball chase, which is some fun stuff, and Kenta absolutely steals the show here. He continues attempting atrocious spicy talk, and even runs triumphantly into battle with his own theme music just to eat shit.
Jetstream! Attack!
Dude, you didn't do jack!
Against all odds, Kenta does actually save the day by using his sci-fi knowledge to counter the kaiju's invisibility. The episode ends with the kaiju becoming a full-fledged colossal-sized kaiju, and this moment is great. The theme music here is a clear reference to music used in classic kaiju films like Godzilla, but it also has its own techno flair, making an incredible Dandadan kaiju theme. If an episode is making me laugh this hard while also containing good, fun narrative content, there's no choice but to have it this high on the list. Number 4, We Became a Family. First things first, this is the best episode title of the series. Just the simple "We Became a Family" is perfect, and even makes me a little emotional. Seeing our ragtag group of characters all living together and creating this tight-knit familial bond with each other is awesome. Speaking of awesome, this episode kicks off with one of the show's best sequences, a goddamn concert exorcism. This shit is so cool. Not only is the song an absolute banger, the dub got the singer of Dragon Force after all, but the scene is beautiful visually. The detail of all the spirits jamming out as the song progresses is genius, and I love how everyone jams out here. Even Ira, who starts off saying that this is stupid, is jamming out by the end. Gigi ends up begging to bail on the exorcism, determined to save the evil eye, and Seiko actually listens and calls the whole thing off. The episode in particular is fantastic for the character of Seiko. There's even a flashback later on of Okarun trying to pay her for her help with the Turbo Granny of it all, but she refuses and gives a speech about helping others and paying it forward. While I can see the argument that this is a pretty basic character trait or arc, I'm a sucker for it. I love characters who act snarky or rude but have a deep-rooted kindness below all of it. My favorite Attack on Titan character is Ymir, and my favorite Dandadan character is Ira, who displays this trait even more than Seiko. We move from that to another great scene, getting a cute little checkup on all of our characters during the middle of the night. This really helps bring together the family dynamic, and it's just so wholesome. In the morning, we follow Ira as she does her morning routine, and this is another great scene. While on the surface it may appear as random filler, these are the moments that build character. Ira being the only one of the group put together in the morning and seeing how much her beauty matters to her is good stuff to learn and making her a better, more fleshed out character. Momo's friends wrap up the episode with their expert instigating skills, dragging Okarun all the way across town to meet Momo at her new job. I love how Momo's friends are just ride-or-die Momokarun shippers, and they're trying to push them together like any middle or high schoolers would. This is all just fun, relatable content to end a fantastic episode. Number 3, You Won't Get Away With This. So much fun. So much fun. This is the Dandadan I consider absolute cinema. This episode respects the balance. We begin with Okarun saving Momo, helping her escape before fighting Gigi. This is a great character moment for both of them as they promise to save each other, which will come back later. Okarun sends Momo up by launching her on a chair, and she immediately gets right to work tying a bunch of bedsheets together. It of course results in an epic fail, but A for effort. Hilarious bit. It's time for Okarun vs Evil Eye, and this fight bangs. We get a purple filter with a bunch of debris and poison particles falling around them while they fight. It looks amazing. The fight takes a turn when Gigi traps Okarun in a makeshift house and begins a beatdown. Okarun proceeds to lock in though, and get revenge for the Evil Eye hitting Momo by landing 100 punches in a row, knocking Evil Eye down for the count. Not only is this moment incredibly badass, but I love how the purple filter slowly turns more and more red as Okarun takes over the fight. Such a neat touch. Despite this episode being knee-deep in the thick of the action, this might just be a top 5 funniest episode of the show. A perfect example being this next bit. Okarun hears Turbo Granny screaming and goes to investigate. Turns out, she's still stuck in the goo all the way down in the cellar. The face Turbo Granny makes when Okarun arrives is gold, and he attempts to make the save, well, only for him to fall face first and get stuck himself. Truly incredible stuff. Back on the surface, Momo is in the midst of burning the house down and killing the Mongolian deathworm. Just some classic girl boss stuff from our female MC. Unfortunately, with the passing of the Mongolian deathworm, it spits up the Ketos, and Momo delivers this glorious line.
You're not digested. Good for you guys.
The episode ends with the volcano erupting. Shit just hit the fan big time. This is also where the Evil Eye movie ended, so I had to wait almost 2 months to see what happened next. But as you'll eventually see, it was worth it. Number 2, To a Kinder World. To a Kinder World is just not on the same level as most other episodes of the show. You can tell almost right away, from scene 1, that this was the episode of the season that the most love and care went into. The first 8 minutes or so is solid above average Dandadan content, as Momo and Okarun take down Acro Silky. But then we get to the Acro Silky backstory sequence, and wow. This sequence is probably the best scene in the entire show. It looks amazing. Everything about it works narratively and emotionally, and it is phenomenally directed. The animation is noticeably better in this sequence, and across the episode as a whole. Some of these shots just look so damn good. The POV shot of human Acro Silky running after her daughter is very effective. It does a great job at making you feel as desperate as she does. The dancing sequence is also incredible, both sonically and visually, with the falling shot being another shot that just looks amazing. We also learn a little bit more about Ira by proxy of Acro Silky. Ira mistakenly called Acro Silky her mother while grieving the loss of her own, and this caused Acro Silky to get confused and believe that Ira was her daughter all along. As Acro Silky heads into the void, Ira gives her a hug and tells her she loves her and that she was a good mom, giving her some peaceful reassurance. The last 12 minutes of the episode is just some of the most effective emotional content across Dandadan, and you'd be hard-pressed to find somebody who didn't get emotional while watching. I feel like one of the only arguments you can make against this episode is that it's a bit of tonal whiplash, and while a fair argument, I don't necessarily agree. I've been watching Demon Slayer for the first time recently, and that show does this same trope a lot, where after a demon is defeated, we learn about their tragic backstory as a human, and it doesn't usually work for me. It's hard to give a character backstory after they die and it still feel meaningful and worthwhile, and that's something that Tatsu succeeded at here, whereas something like Demon Slayer usually doesn't. This is the highest rated episode of the series, and for good reason, and I fully understand why it would be most people's number 1 episode. But it's not mine. Number 1. That's like way deadly. Here it is, the perfect Dandadan episode. I think this is probably the best looking episode of the show. I think sonically this is the best episode. The score throughout the entire thing is constantly popping off, and this episode has some of the best moments across the series so far. The episode respects the weird, funny, wholesome balance perfectly. There's just enough of all three, and on top of that, it's also a battle episode. The whole first sequence here of Momo running through town with the giant worm corpse is amazing. And shout out to Abby Trott. Her performance as Momo is impressive throughout the entire show, but this episode in particular is fantastic, especially considering she pretty much has to carry the whole thing as Okarun is MIA until the very end. It's around this point in the episode that we go full Avengers Endgame, and I fucking love it. I can totally understand the argument that every character under the sun coming in to make the save is annoying, but here I think it's super rewarding. We've seen Momo, Okarun, and Gigi go through hell these past few episodes, and to see the cast of wacky characters we've met throughout our short time come out and help is amazing. First up is Manjiro, the guy from the Snake Shrine. Turns out Seiko is his master, and he's here to help fight off the Ketos. Well, that becomes short-lived when Evil Eye shows back up, and now Miss Keto has to put a sock in it and starts fighting the Evil Eye with our crew. We get some dope 3v1 action until Mr. Mantis Shrimp makes the save. This is the point on first time viewing where I knew this episode was special. All of these zany characters, whether I loved their goofy subplots or thought they were just fine, didn't matter, because it led to this awesome, perfectly captured moment. However, that's not even the best part. With the mantis shrimp comes his UFO, and it begins to beam down Seiko and Taro. Not only is this immensely satisfying to see Granny Seiko finally hop into some action again, this whole scene is hilarious. Seiko tries to stay stoic and says some stern lines. Chicky Cheetah is singing on full blast, giving us a weird, bizarre hype song, while Taro is also screaming in the background and complaining about the heights. A phenomenal, weird amalgamation of characters creating another special moment. Seiko hops down and begins fighting the evil eye, and it's awesome. And it leads perfectly into Taro's mad dash. The William Tell Overture makes its return, and with this scene, it officially becomes Taro's theme. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Taro getting demolished only for the score to switch and us realize that it was all part of the plan to trap the evil eye is so damn good. After all that, the battle is finally over, but the best part of the episode hasn't even happened yet. Momo heads off to save Okarun. She initially thinks he's dead, but Chicky Cheetah raises the lava, Momo opens up the weird gooey cocoon, and in it lies Okarun and Turbo Granny. Okarun looking up and just saying, "Knew it," is the line that always gets me, the one that tears me up. A perfectly written response. The two embrace, probably my favorite Momokarun moment so far, ending my favorite Dandadan episode with another special moment. This episode is such a ride. It's fun, it's cool, it's well made, and it's even emotional. It's my favorite episode of Dandadan. Thank you all for watching this monster of a video. I hope you all enjoyed. Comment down below what you think of my list. Do you agree? Do you disagree? What is your favorite Dandadan episode? I'd love to know. Like and subscribe for more content like this. And as always, ladies and gentlemen, have a wonderful day.